From desert revolutionary to global enigma, how did one man reshape a nation and shock the world? In 1969, a 27-year-old colonel named Muammar Gaddafi seized control of an ancient kingdom. He promised a socialist, pan-Arab utopia fueled by oil wealth. For 42 years, he was a paradox, a visionary who built a welfare state with schools and hospitals, and a ruthless strongman who financed global terror and crushed all dissent. From the humble Bedouin tent to the self-proclaimed King of Kings, his journey defined Libya. But how did this enigmatic figure rise, rule, and ultimately ignite the revolution that consumed him? Born in a humble Bedouin tent near Sirte in 1942, Gaddafi's early life in Libya's vast desert instilled a powerful anti-colonial ideology. He deeply idolized Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser, consuming his revolutionary pan-Arab nationalist ideas. He dreamed of a united, powerful Arab world. His path was clear. He enrolled in the Royal Military Academy in Benghazi, where he clandestinely organized a small group of like-minded nationalist officers. Libya was then an impoverished kingdom, ruled by the elderly King Idris I, a pro-Western monarch whose reign was perceived as weak, corrupt, and overly reliant on foreign powers. On September 1, 1969, Gaddafi's secret Free Officers movement executed a remarkably swift and bloodless coup. While King Idris was abroad for medical treatment, his regime was overthrown without a single shot fired. At just 27 years old, Gaddafi was propelled onto the world stage. He immediately abolished the monarchy and proclaimed the new Libyan Arab Republic. His government embraced a fervent Arab nationalism, rejecting both communism and Western capitalism, charting a unique, independent course. His first major revolutionary act was seizing control of Libya's vast oil reserves, nationalizing foreign companies, and dramatically increasing the nation's wealth. This unprecedented oil revenue became the engine for a rapid and ambitious transformation of the underdeveloped nation. Under Gaddafi, Libya embarked on an ambitious program of social welfare. Access to free healthcare became a fundamental right for all citizens. Free education, from primary school to university level, was made available to everyone, boosting literacy rates and creating a new generation of educated Libyans. Subsidized housing and food prices aimed to eliminate poverty, providing a higher standard of living than many neighboring countries. In 1975, Gaddafi penned his unique philosophical manifesto, the Green Book, a blend of Islamic socialism and direct democracy he called Third Universal Theory. It was designed to be a guide for governance, social justice, and a rejection of conventional political systems, becoming mandatory reading across Libya. Globally, Gaddafi quickly became a revolutionary icon, fiercely anti-Western, and a staunch ally of nations and movements fighting colonialism and imperialism. He actively supported various liberation movements and insurgent groups worldwide, viewing them as allies in his struggle against global hegemony. While building a welfare state, Gaddafi simultaneously dismantled all vestiges of civil society, banning opposition parties, trade unions, and private media. Dissent was met with brutal force. Political opponents and critics of the regime often vanished into prisons like Abu Salim, one of the world's most feared correctional facilities. Gaddafi's internal security apparatus was omnipresent, fostering a climate of fear and discouraging any form of organized opposition. Libya's intelligence services gained notoriety for exporting terror, most notably through state-sponsored bombings and assassination attempts targeting exiles. In 1986, after the bombing of a West Berlin disco frequented by U.S. servicemen, American President Ronald Reagan publicly labeled Gaddafi the mad dog of the Middle East. The U.S. retaliated with targeted airstrikes aimed at Gaddafi's compound. The attack narrowly missed him, but tragically killed his adopted infant daughter, Hannah. This personal loss, Gaddafi claimed, solidified his resolve against Western aggression and fueled a deepening spiral of state-sponsored retaliation. The apex of his terror campaign was the 1988 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, which tragically claimed the lives of 270 innocent people. The Lockerbie attack led to crippling international sanctions and Libya's complete isolation on the global stage, turning Gaddafi into a pariah. Domestically, the brother leader cult of personality grew immense. He was everything: the revolutionary, the guide, the philosopher, and the supreme commander. His personal security was legendary, often featuring his infamous all-female Amazonian guard, showcasing his eccentricity and absolute control. After decades primarily focused on the Arab world, Gaddafi dramatically shifted his attention to the African continent, rebranding himself the King of Kings of Africa. He poured billions into supporting the African Union, AU, actively lobbying for a unified African superstate with a single currency and a single army. His vision of a united Africa, free from Western influence and wielding its own economic and political power, gained significant traction among many African nations. After September 11th and the swift collapse of Saddam Hussein's regime, Gaddafi made a stark realization: his regime was dangerously vulnerable. He understood that his pursuit of weapons of mass destruction and continued support for terror groups made him a prime target for Western intervention. In a shocking pivot in 2003, he voluntarily surrendered his entire program for weapons of mass destruction, signaling a complete break with his past. He paid billions in compensation to the victims of the Lockerbie bombing and officially accepted responsibility for the tragedy, paving the way for the lifting of sanctions. The years of crippling sanctions were finally lifted, opening Libya's oil wealth to the world once more, and ending decades of crippling isolation. Suddenly, the mad dog was welcomed back into the Western fold. European and American leaders flocked to Tripoli, eager to secure lucrative oil deals. Gaddafi played the game, enjoying his newfound diplomatic legitimacy and the stream of foreign investment pouring into his coffers. Domestically, he pointed to colossal infrastructure projects like the Great Man-Made River, bringing fresh water from the Sahara to the coast as proof of his success. He claimed these projects were transforming Libya into an agricultural powerhouse, benefiting all Libyans and fulfilling his revolutionary promises. Despite his rapprochement, Gaddafi's behavior remained highly erratic on the world stage, culminating in a bizarre 90-minute rant before the UN General Assembly in 2009. He tore up the UN Charter, accused Western powers of being responsible for various global conflicts, and demanded hundreds of billions in reparations. His eccentric travel habits, insisting on pitching his elaborate Bedouin tent for diplomatic visits, became a source of international ridicule. These antics, while entertaining for some, underscored his unpredictable nature and the deep mistrust that still simmered beneath the surface of his relations with the West. The storm that began in Tunisia in 2010, the Arab Spring, soon spread, igniting decades of suppressed rage against dictatorships across the Arab world. In February 2011, protests reached Libya, specifically the eastern city of Benghazi. The initial demonstrations were met with Gaddafi's predictable and merciless response. Gaddafi unleashed his military and loyalist militias, ordering them to crush the uprising with overwhelming and lethal force. He appeared on state television, promising a bloodbath, vowing to cleanse Libya of what he called rats and foreign-backed traitors. As Gaddafi's forces pushed back, humanitarian concerns escalated dramatically, with fears mounting of an imminent genocide in the rebel-held areas. The international community watched in horror as Gaddafi's forces besieged cities, threatening a humanitarian catastrophe. The UN Security Council passed Resolution 1973, authorizing a no-fly zone and all necessary measures to protect civilians. NATO forces, led by the US, UK, and France, quickly began an intensive air campaign, targeting Gaddafi's military assets. The airstrikes crippled Gaddafi's air force and ground forces, preventing him from reclaiming rebel-held territories and shifting the balance of power. Buoyed by NATO air support, rebel forces, now better organized, began to make significant gains against the weakened loyalist army. After months of intense fighting, rebel forces surged into the capital, Tripoli, in August 2011, forcing Gaddafi and his inner circle into hiding. Gaddafi's massive Bab al-Azizia compound, a symbol of his iron rule, was captured and looted by triumphant citizens. 2 months later, Gaddafi was discovered hiding in a drainage pipe near his hometown of Sirte, a humiliating end to his 42-year reign. Captured alive, the former brother leader faced a brutal and undignified end at the hands of rebel forces. His death marked the definitive end of an era, Gaddafi's death did not bring peace. Instead, it unleashed a fierce power vacuum and a devastating civil war that quickly plunged the nation into chaos. His carefully constructed state dissolved, leading to the rise of multiple armed militias and extremist groups, tearing the country apart. His legacy remains bitterly contested, a nationalist who brought prosperity and dignity, or a tyrant whose eventual downfall plunged his beloved nation into ruin. Muammar Gaddafi's life is a profound cautionary tale of revolutionary power, a reminder that a vision of unity, when enforced by absolute power, can often lead to unforeseen destruction. What do you think of Gaddafi's turbulent 4 decades of rule? Was he a revolutionary hero, a reckless tyrant, or something far more complex? Let us know in the comments. If you were captivated by this deep dive into one of history's most controversial leaders, smash the like button and subscribe to the Griot's Archive for more untold stories of power, politics, and history.